The last thing I need is another picture of me looking like a porcelain doll.
Come, lie down. No. Head down.
What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and Donald Trump had a busy weekend on top of some pretty scary interactions, probably, I would imagine, for a 3-year-old, from insane Slava Ukraine protesters harassing J.D. Vance's small child, and much more. Trump is absolutely rattling the cage, so to speak, of a lot of things. For a lot of people, including a brand new announcement from Marco Rubio earlier today, who basically said, we're cutting everything, even more deep cuts coming for federal bureaucracy. The stock market's reacting. It's not I don't feel great picking like November as the first time I decided to buy some stocks, but I do know that they'll come back, and you only lose your money when you sell. That's what people keep telling me. But let's go to the new demands of Zelensky. If you saw the news on Friday, you know that they're all headed to Dubai right now, where I and many other people are expecting a peace deal to come from Ukraine and Russia, at minimum a ceasefire. And if that doesn't happen, I think Trump should absolutely withdraw literally everything. Elon Musk is a private citizen. He can decide what he wants to do with his Starlink satellites that Ukraine uses, in their war. But I think if they can't agree on a ceasefire peace deal today, that should be it. That should just be it for every penny, because I'm done funding him. So here's what he said on Air Force One.
Wow, it's a lot of people.
Sorry, I'm here. It's a little quiet.
Have you made a final decision about what sanctions or tariffs you might impose on Russia and when that might be?
We're looking at a lot of things. We have big meetings coming up, as you know, in Saudi Arabia. That's going to include Russia. It'll be Ukraine. We'll see if we can get something done. Like to get something done. A lot of people died this week, as you know.
Yep.
In Ukraine. Not only Ukrainians, but Russians. So I think everybody wants to see it get done. We're going to make a lot of progress, I believe, this week. And let's see what happens with the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. I think you're going to have eventually, and maybe not in the distant future, you're going to have some pretty good results coming out of Saudi Arabia this week.
Are you going to?
Hopefully.
Well, I think they will sign the minerals deal, but we want them to. I want them to want peace. Right
How do
now,
they show that? How do they show they want?
well, right now they haven't shown it to the extent that they should. I think right now they haven't, but I think they will be, and I think it's going to become evident over the next 2 or 3 days.
Would you consider lifting the intel pause on Ukraine? What does Ukraine have?
Well,
to
we
do?
just about have. I mean, we really just about have. And we want to do anything we can to get Ukraine to be serious about getting something done.
Sir, do you think there's going to be a deal on TikTok soon?
There could be. We're dealing with 4 different groups.
Don't really care about TikTok. Donald Trump is pressuring Volodymyr Zelensky into accepting a raft of new terms. The Ukrainian president wants to end the protracted conflict in Russia while admitting that the country may not survive anyway. The ambitious new terms will be combined with the proposed mineral deal that fell apart during tense negotiations that culminated in a public Oval Office spat between Trump, Zelensky, and Vice President J.D. Vance, a spat that I believe was brought on by Democrats. There were reports that he met with Democrats in secret. Many people say it is a violation of the Logan Act before this, like hours before this. Now, Trump is now expecting Zelensky to be open to relinquishing territory to Russia, and any idiot knew that was going to have to be part of the deal. I knew this. I've been saying this for over a year. You're going to have to give up some land. Otherwise, Russia has no reason to stop. Now, America could ramp up their sanctions on Russia and apply more pressure that way, perhaps, and maybe that leads to them backing off. But that's going to be another year or two down the line. How many more people have to, lose their lives? We want to do anything we can to get Ukraine to be serious about getting something done. Earlier in the day, he was asked about the future of Ukraine and sensationally admitted, well, it may not survive anyway. The huge trio of concessions marked a monumental shift from his initial request, which was for Ukraine to grant the United States a state control of mineral resources in exchange for military aid granted to fight the Russian invasion. I'm fine not getting the minerals deal. I just want to stop paying for them. I want to stop paying for this war. I think most people agree with me. Although it seems like anytime I cover this topic, there's a flurry of dislikes, but not a lot of comments from people. So I don't know if they're bots or what the situation is. But like, I'm not against Ukrainians. I'm not against Russians. I don't like either one of their governments, just like I don't like most of my own government. And I think if people could see that, see the forest from the trees, so to speak, they would see that we're generally on the same side of this stuff. And I don't know about Ukraine not existing. I certainly hope for the Ukrainian people that it does, but I'm not sure what he was insinuating there. Maybe with the leadership and things like that. A lot of people are getting a little tired of Zelensky playing dictator with everyone American tax dollars, quite frankly. So some new demands. Meanwhile, Slava Ukraine, probably white American women, harassed J.D. Vance and his 3-year-old daughter while they were just trying to take a walk. I mean, do these people know anything about the optics battle? You're harassing a child. Now, I mean, this is exclusively a left-wing tactic. The Democrats have long done this, and they have no class whatsoever, no decorum whatsoever. Vice President J.D. Vance claimed that he was harassed by pro-Ukraine protesters while taking his 3-year-old daughter out for a walk on Saturday. Today, while walking my 3-year-old daughter, a group of Slava Ukraine protesters followed us around and shouted as my daughter grew increasingly anxious and scared. Can you imagine, as a father or a mother, somebody doing this crap? I'm trying to pull it up on Twitter, but Twitter's been down all day, or X. I decided to speak with the protesters in hopes that I could trade a few minutes of conversation for them leaving my toddler alone. Nearly all of them agreed. He added, it was mostly a respectful conversation, but if you're chasing a 3-year-old, out as a political protest, you're an ish person. S-H-I-T person. He's right. He's 100% right. Leave him alone when he's got his kids with him, you psychos. I don't even understand why they thought this would be a good optics thing. Slava Ukraini is the Ukrainian Armed Forces. National salute and translate glory to Ukraine. The phrase has widely been used by pro-Ukrainian protesters. Why are all these people over here in the United States protesting? Go over there and fight the war. Go fight the war. You want this war to continue? Cool. Very cool. Go fight it. Get in your, I'm sure that a lot of people out there would pay for your flight. Get on the front lines. Go out there and be somebody. Vance, who didn't delve too much in the specifics of the conversation, but protester Ann Henry claimed that there was no one chasing him. I don't believe that for a second. Look what's happening in all these Tesla dealerships. Video shared by WCP9 News showed protesters chanting that people are dying and accused the Trump administration of selling out Ukrainians. The footage did not show how it began. With respect, ma'am, I disagree, Vance replied when pressed about the situation. I think that what we're doing is actually forcing a diplomatic settlement. Zelensky was asked to leave the White House. We know how that all fell out because he got his big boy pants on and he thought he could push America around. And he got smacked up real quick. These same dorks, who are shilling for Ukraine now, were calling it the most corrupt country in the world in 2014. Then, in my opinion, the CIA probably installed Zelensky, and now suddenly it's a great thing. Now you hear Marco Rubio announced the cancellation of most all USAID programs. Marco Rubio's been doing a pretty good job. I was lukewarm on his promotion to that position. But Secretary Marco Rubio has announced that USAID will cancel the overall majority of its programs, while the rest will be folded into the State Department. After a 6-week review, we are officially canceling 83% of the programs at USAID. The 5,200 contracts that are now canceled spent tens of billions of dollars in the way that did not serve, and in some cases even harmed, the core national interests of the United States. In consultation with Congress, we intend for the remaining 18% of programs we're keeping approximately 1,000 to now be administrated more effectively under the State Department. Thank you, DOGE, and our hardworking staff who worked very long hours to achieve this overdue historic reform. It's unclear what the impact this decision will have on the federal judge's deadline today for the dismantled agency to pay its $2 billion in bills. Now, you'll remember Amy Coney Barrett screwed us over and said that, well, we still have to pay this because there's contracts in place. There are many ways still around this. And so it's not like as big of a deal. Hopefully we can just stop those payments immediately. $2 billion would probably go a long way for the VA or, buying up eggs from other countries to lower the price of eggs, or using it to buy oil up, to drive oil prices down, gas prices down, all this kind of stuff. Right now, Zelensky has arrived in Saudi Arabia as U.S. expects substantial progress in Ukraine talks. We'll see. Steve Witkoff said that he expected substantial progress in the talks and said that they would be aimed at securing a framework for a peace agreement and an initial ceasefire. So what they want right now is a ceasefire, which is fair. And then they want probably, let's talk about the 80% of the contract that we need to knock out here to get this done. Ukraine's going to have to give up land. That's just the facts. How much of that land? That's what needs to be negotiated. Russia is going to need to probably atone for the damage they did. That's going to have to be worked out. But for now, I think, I hope the ceasefire will lead to, no more lives being lost. USAID gone, tariffs doing their jobs. I mean, right now, obviously, everything's a little tumultuous, but I'm absolutely loving what I'm seeing from the Trump administration now. Hopefully, he can bring about peace later today and between Ukraine and Russia. If you haven't yet, make sure you follow this channel, you subscribe. I'll keep you updated the second there's an update. We'll talk to you again real soon.